This is the best budget mirrorless camera for landscape photographers, and it's very easy for me to recommend. Not only are you getting a high quality camera for a fraction of the price, but this is also a camera that you can build around long term as you get deeper into the photography rabbit hole until you're so deep that you now have more cameras than friends. But luckily, you're just starting, so it's not really a problem for you. Yet. Somebody, please come save me. Anyways, this is the Nikon Z30, and let's talk about why you should get this camera if you're starting out. The Nikon Z30 is a very easy camera to recommend for beginner landscape photographers, and a big part of that is its price point, especially if you're buying used, which I almost always recommend doing. You can find the Z30 for around $500 on eBay, which is an absolute steal considering that this is a mirrorless camera with tons of features that make shooting landscapes easy. Because the issue with a lot of these budget or beginner cameras is that a lot of these companies will cut out features simply to cut costs, like having less dials or buttons. But this is where the Nikon Z30 outpaces a lot of other cameras in this space, as the Z30 has very similar controls to that of a higher end mirrorless camera, like my Z6 III, which is a full frame camera that is designed for professionals. You get the same 2 command dials and all the other buttons that you need to control the camera and set it up in the way that you want to. You can also customize these buttons. For example, I set up my record button to 2x magnification to zoom in and see if I'm in focus. The Z30 also uses a fully articulating screen, and for landscape photographers, this is huge. Because trust me, I've had other cameras that didn't have tilting screens. It makes it impossible to see my camera screen when it's low to the ground. But with a fully articulating screen, you can see your composition whether you're in horizontal or vertical orientation. This is a must-have and is something I simply can't live without after being a landscape photographer for over 8 years. We also have an SD card slot in the Z30, which is very standard and is a memory card that most people have access to versus other memory cards. It's much easier to work with as a beginner and should make the file transfer process much easier. And something that I love as a landscape photographer is the Nikon Z30's compact and lightweight form factor. Because you have to carry all of your camera gear on your back when you're out hiking, which means you have heavier gear, which will weigh you down and make the experience unpleasant overall. But the Z30 weighs a mere 405 grams while being super thin, making it easy to throw it in your camera bag without having to worry about its size. Especially for someone like me who carries multiple camera bodies and lenses and tripods, this camera fits in seamlessly and helps bring down the overall weight of my bag. This may sound dumb to think about, but when you're out there hiking for miles at a time, the weight does add up. So thank me when you avoid having back problems in the future. The Z30 also boasts solid image quality, with accurate and pleasing Nikon colors that portray the scene in the exact way it's supposed to look. The image quality out of Nikon cameras is why I continue to come back to this system, and the Z30 definitely follows in those footsteps. I love how the camera renders the images with beautiful contrast and punchy feel to the photos without going completely overboard. And with a 20 megapixel APS-C size sensor, you get plenty of resolution for high amounts of detail if you wanted to print your photos big, or show off to your friends how much you can zoom into your photo while making them feel bad about their phone's cameras so you can gaslight them into also getting into photography. Totally not from personal experience or anything. Anyways, this camera takes great photos. And the crazy thing about the Z30 is that even as a professional landscape photographer with full frame cameras, I still use this camera to shoot my landscapes. I mainly use it paired with my telephoto lens to shoot subjects that are pretty far away. And I use this camera on pretty much every shoot that I go out on. But to me, that's the most important part about investing into the Nikon Z30. It's a camera that will help you get started and will grow with you as you start getting more into photography. Wait. Why do I even need my first camera to be the one that grows with me? Why can't I just buy a stupid cheap camera and buy another one later? Well, let me explain. Because let's say the only thing that you cared about was getting the absolute cheapest camera possible and saving money. In that case, you can easily grab a DSLR with a bunch of lenses for stupid cheap. We're talking a whole landscape kit for under $500, which would be the same price as the Z30 by itself. But there's a major problem with this. You see, DSLRs are going out of style as major camera companies start to ease them out of their product offerings. And this is because of mirrorless cameras. DSLRs will eventually stop getting support entirely if they haven't already, and your kit will quickly become outdated without much room to grow. Of course, there's an entire ecosystem of DSLR lenses and bodies to choose from that are honestly pretty good. But to me, if you're serious about photography and see yourself doing this long term, going the DSLR route just simply isn't a good idea, as you'll get left behind while the entire camera industry chugs ahead. Which is why you want to get a camera body that you can not only start your journey with, but also that will grow with you in the long run. It's why I still use my Nikon Z30 to this day, despite my large collection of camera bodies and lenses, and can recommend it to you as someone who's just starting out. To top it all off, the Nikon Z ecosystem is the best value system out of all the other camera brands. You can find very affordable lenses and bodies for a decent price when buying used, and Nikon gear doesn't tend to stay expensive for long. It's what attracted me to the system as a whole and is why I ended up with the kit I have now over years of building it up. And down the road, when you're ready to upgrade to better, more capable cameras, you can still use the Z30, as it serves a use case that a lot of these other cameras wouldn't be good for, like casual shooting or having a super lightweight camera to take around with you on a daily basis. But if this video has convinced you into start looking into the Nikon Z30, then I would highly recommend also considering the Nikon Z 12-28mm f3.5 to 5.6 as your wide angle choice and the 50-250 as your telephoto lens. I've made videos on both of these pieces of gear and will link them in the description so you can check them out. The Z30 is a fantastic camera for beginners, and if I was starting out again, this is what I would get. So what do you think about the Nikon Z30? Is this a camera that you would get to start out your photography journey? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Anyways guys, thank you so much for experiencing the world with me today. If you like this video, check out this one right here.